Hello everyone and welcome to my channel once again. So today what we are gonna have a look at is the DPS variant of my Accursed Spark build. Now before you leave, and I know that most of you do, according to YouTube it's actually more than 90% people leaving after the 1 minute mark, there's one thing I have to tell you, and it's very important. Okay, so if you want to leave after this one message, and that is, if you just want to open the build planner and just look at the equipment section, the skill section, you know, and the passive tree, and just copy paste that, then you just failed the build. Kind of, because you will not understand what you are doing, why you are doing it. You will not understand the order in which you are supposed to do it. I also don't have any specific gear for my build because there simply isn't one. That is not how Spark Archmage works, and it never has worked. Spark Archmage simply only has stat priority, and whether you follow that stat priority with 10 exalted or 10,000 divines, it's all the same. You just, you know, become stronger and stronger. But there is no set unique you have to use. There is no, you need, you know, left ring with 34% lightning resist, right ring, you know, with 28 fire resist precisely and 7% all resistances precisely because on your helmet. No, that's complete bullshit. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. You only have to follow the priority. And yeah, I talk about it very, you know, in depth in the build planner, and we will talk about it today as well. So if you really want to understand the build, if you want to understand the class, which is what I'm aiming for with all of my builds for any game, is for people to understand the, like, the way it works, right? So that based on their preference, based on their available budget, based on their gear, based on the way they want to play the game, they understand the class so well that they can do adjustments on their own. That's my goal. Okay, so like I said, if you're just looking for, you know, 3 seconds, I look at the equipment section, yada yada, and I just copy paste. No. First of all, I think any Spark Archmage build that you would like play like that, you will absolutely kind of fail the build. It will simply, you know, not work because, yeah, you will not understand why, and there's also almost no possibility to look like for a super specific gear that has, you know, this and this stat, unless, yeah, you have those thousands of divines available, and even then no one might have ever looted or crafted it. So that's simply not what you do. And I see a lot of people asking for, or like asking why their build's not working because they are following this variant, you know, this YouTuber, this streamer, and that the build is absolute crap, they do no damage and it simply doesn't work. Well, it's because they don't understand it, right? So very long intro, but yeah, if you want to understand Spark Archmage, if you want to one-shot T18 maps, if you want to one-shot T4 bosses, which actually can be seen as a negative. After I one-shotted absolutely everything, I realized there's nothing to do in the game anymore, because, I mean, there's like no goal to go above, you know, the highest. If you finished the hardest Simulacrum, the hardest bosses, yada yada yada, then what else are you supposed to do, right? But it's still open beta, so we pretty much just got like some early to mid game, and hopefully more end game content with some cool stuff is gonna come out with the full release. Anyway, once again, sorry, I'm a horrible yapper. I know. There will be timestamps in the video. Just look up what you want. Use the written guide, you know. I used every single symbol in the guide so that you can really just, you know, search for what you're looking for and read up a paragraph. I also try to separate it all into paragraphs for better readability based on what you are looking for, what skill you're looking for, etc. Right? So yeah, let's get right into the build. Okay, so let's jump right into the build. So if I open my skill UI and my inventory UI, you can see no uniques used. This gear, around 5 divines, if not less. My focus was a little bit under 1 divine. It was like 100, 105 exalted, I think. My amulet was 1 divine. My ring, this was the most expensive out of my non-uniques items. This was 2 divine, but absolutely worth it. Massive ring, absolutely worth the 2 divine. 40 exalted for the boots. This was actually 1 augmentation. I just got any random belt to show you, because I sold my old one after getting ingenuity. Gloves, 1 divine. This ring, 3 exalted. Yes, 3 exalted. I mean, you can see, right? It has kind of low mana compared to my other ring, which is over 200. So it's like not the best ring ever. But if you really snipe items, 3 exalted, baby. And you know, some of you might know, or you can see it, that I have Dream Fragment. But let me show you something, okay? Bam! Dream Fragment, 1000 DPS less than a normal ring with 80 mana and cast speed. So keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. Not every super expensive item is for like the DPS. Sure, eventually Dream Fragment, if you have massive amounts of base mana so that it gives you massive amounts of extra mana, will turn out to be a bit more DPS than a normal ring, but actually not by that much. What Dream Fragment gives you is the QOL, right? The immunity to chill, immunity to frozen, it gives you mana regen, which is nice, and the extra mana also means extra survivability, because mana equals life in our build, right? But DPS wise, like, yeah, just don't worry, you can snipe 3 exalted rings that will give you same DPS as 100 divine orb ring, which I chanced, by the way. Super lucky, like absolutely insane. My first time chancing and I immediately hit Dream Fragment, so that was bonkers. But yeah, back to the build. So 3 exalted and 5 exalted for my wand, because I only got the base with the lightning spell skills +4. And I think this one was with, I'm not sure whether it was the lightning damage or max mana right now. And the rest I crafted, I just, you know, smacked exalted orbs and crafted this. It would probably, if you wanted to buy it, be over a divine, right? Because it has cast speed. And if we have a look at cast speed, arcane tempo, as you can see, gives us 25%. So this is like the same as my wand. If I take it away, that's more than 20% damage loss, right? It's more like the cast speed is more DPS than an extra skill would give me, right? Like you kind of want both, right? If you just have skill ranks, you will not do like you will do damage, but let's say you will not do as much of it. If you only have cast speed but no skill ranks, again you will do damage, just not as much of it. So whether you go 200 cast speed but no skill ranks, or 40 skill ranks but no cast speed, then you will always do less damage than someone who goes for 100 cast speed and 25 skill ranks, because it works together, right? The cast speed allows for more of those strong sparks boosted through the spell ranks to be shooted at the enemy, right? So you definitely need to combine both, which kind of already covers the first step priority of the build, and that is cast speed and skill ranks, which you want to get wherever possible. And the most important part, skill or like build enabling part, is Archmage, because Archmage, what it does is that it turns every 100 mana we have into more damage. right? So together with the skill ranks and cast speed, what you want is as much mana as possible, and basically you could say that's it. Basically you could say that's it. And by mana I mean everything that gives you mana. Okay, so we want intelligence because it gives us mana. We want the max mana itself, preferably, but those are super expensive. You're most likely not gonna get them. Oh well, if you're rich, then you might. And that's also not getting just the flat max mana, the additive, but also the multiplicative, the increased max mana on your amulet. That's absolutely massive. Right, so you would want that. I don't have that. This was one divine amulet. As you can see, it also doesn't have all spell skills. It only has all projectile skills. That's why it was so cheap, because it only boosts spark damage, right? It doesn't affect my lightning conduit. It doesn't affect my mana tempest, orb of storm, conductivity, resistance, curse. Nothing, right? This is just spark. So, but this is like a poor boy version, what you can do to gain some damage ASAP if you cannot allow those, tens of divines amulets which have ranks to all spell skills. But yeah, mana. And the other stat that gives us mana is energy shield. Why? Because we are playing Eldritch Battery, and that converts all of our energy shield, you can see we have none, into mana, right? So we have 3 stats that increase our mana. You really want to get them everywhere. Right, and this build is literally, I already said in the intro, right? It can work with 10 exalted as well as 10,000 divine. What changes is how much mana, how much energy shield, and how much intelligence you can get on your items. That's basically it, right? But you can make it cheap and you can make it expensive. The stat priority doesn't change. You want as much mana as humanly possible through all the different sources, because not only Archmage increases your damage through mana, it's also Arcane Intensity increasing your damage through max mana. Then, because we are stacking Intelligence for max mana, we are increasing the damage through pure power. And because we are stacking mana, we are increasing damage through Arcane Surge, because Arcane Surge, what it does is it gives us cast speed and mana regen, right? And we have Force of Will, which increases the effect of it per 15 max mana. So the synergy of mana stacking builds is through this roof. It's absolutely insane, absolutely bonkers. And it also almost doesn't matter what you play, whether you're playing Comet or whatever. You can always, and you should, kind of play Archmage. Even my Blood Witch, which is stacking life over stacking mana, is using Archmage, because Archmage just gives you so much more damage, and I mean it. Okay, because let's see, spark 108,000. Okay, let's turn Archmage off. 21,000. So yeah. Okay, sorry for the little break. I had to take a break for a tiny bit to deal with something. And let's get right back, continue with the stat priority. We are only really missing 2 stats that we need to focus on, and those are resistances and mana regen, right? After you get all of that mana, after you get all of the DPS, you need to be able to survive, so you need to focus on maxing out resistances, and you need to be able to sustain using Spark in the first place. You can get that on your chest as well if you get the Cat Raymond. This was an awesome chest that I had before. It gave me increased mana regen, 49%, absolutely massive. Gave me 100 more energy shield than it gives now, gave me 47 spirit. That combined with the 13 spirit on my amulet to enable cast on shock. And yeah, I was greedy. I wanted the third socket to increase my mana further. It didn't work out. It completely destroyed the chest. I can just salvage it now. So that's why I'm kind of using. This cheap substitute of a chest. And unfortunately missing the 5 spirit here. So cannot proc cast on shock. But yeah, destroying my chest kind of pushed me into getting Warrior Invictus and super lackluster. My base mana is unfortunately not as high. That's why the damage doesn't actually increase with Dream Fragment. It actually lowered because my base mana on my items, like you can get 200 energy shield on your gloves, you know, plus 150 mana. The same for your boots. You can get over 400 energy shield on your helmet, over 800 on your body armor. All of that with all of the multipliers stacked on top of each other, right? Like I'm losing thousands of mana just through this, and that's why Dream Fragment is not as valuable. I would actually nearly 100% get more value if I just sold it and bought better gear. It would give me, you know, more everything. But I really like the QOL of Dream Fragment that makes me immune to chill and frozen and yada yada yada. Plus, the increased mana doesn't really increase my damage, but it increased my survivability, right? So yeah. But the value of it not as high, you know, not as high, and that's why Warrior Invictus also didn't have as much value. It was actually only 200 mana more than my old chest with 570, you know, with 570. Like some people claim that you need 800 energy shield chest for it to give you same value as Warrior Invictus. But if you don't run gear worth, you know, hundreds of divines, then you will probably gain absolutely nothing out of it. Like myself. I know I didn't. So yeah. It also depends how much, you know, increased mana you already have, right? On your gear, because I normally do play Dream Fragment, then it kind of diminished the value of Warrior Invictus because I lost the base value, the base mana to be multiplied. Yeah, I'm yapping again. Sorry. Yeah. let's get into the skill section now that we have stat priority behind us. So on our second weapon, we are using Chiming Staff. We really want Sigil of Power because it's a lot of damage, and here we really just want maybe intelligence and mana so that we do not lower our survivability when on weapon set 2, and then level of all spell skills. This is super important. +4, I would say absolute minimum, and this was like 2 exalted. Maybe even just 1 exalted actually. Those with +6 to all spell skills are pretty expensive, but I think +4, it's enough. I'm one-shotting T4 bosses, or nearly one-shotting, you know, depends what boss, etc. Like yeah, you don't really need more. If you reach 100,000 damage, you already beat the game. You beat everything in the game, so you don't really need all that much more. We are using, because Sigil of Power is a lot of DPS increase. If I put it down, as you can see, 16,000 damage when we are in it, and we can push it further and further, 173,000 DPS. So we gained 64,000 DPS, you know, so 60% extra DPS through Sigil of Power. Absolutely bonkers and must have. Now, skills for our sparks, the support gems. Projectile speed, super important. Projectile speed together with skill effect duration lets our spark, you know, last on the map longer. So then basically what I do when I'm playing maps is I just walk, click, walk, click, right? It costs no mana, 1 sparkles absolutely everything, including magic monsters. It's maybe only rare monsters that survive, so you will use 3-4 sparks to kill them, and like 5 sparks to kill bosses. So yeah, but I do this so that I am as fast in the maps as humanly possible. I do actually have Blink on my weapon set too, so that I can be even faster, but I usually just use it to collect the gear after I'm done, right? So yeah. Acceleration with skill effect duration, super important, because it will just, you know, travel further, kill mobs that are not even on the map. You will just walk and collect the gear. You will just hear bam, 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 you know, from the loot filters when you're dropping currency, and you will not even know where it is because it will happen 5 kilometers away. Then inspiration must have, so that we can even sustain using spark. Arcane tempo, super huge DPS increase there, like I said, 20% DPS easily through 25% cast speed. Control destruction must have. It is, you know, the DPS increase with hits. Now you can see it's not actually 30%, right? It's like what, 20%, because it removes the ability of spark to crit, so it like took away the crit and crit damage that we might have somewhere, you know, somewhere on our gear, or, you know, even though we do not need it, yeah, we might have stumbled upon it. Plus it has the base, you know, the base value of crit strike chance and crit strike damage, so it like increases the damage and lowers at the same time. But in combination with Lightning Rod, which is absolutely massive, makes, you know, the non-critical hits lucky, does increase the damage by 30%. Does increase the damage by 30%. So the combination is, well, mandatory. It doesn't work without each other, and the damage absolutely insane, 30%, which we do not see on the tooltip. And then for a last skill, you have actually a lot of options, or I keep saying last skill, last support gem. So persistence, skill effect duration, awesome, right? It will travel further, stay in the arena against the boss longer, so that you can precast a lot of sparks, you know, and then the boss just spawns and dies. Very valuable support gem. You can also use overcharge to increase the magnitude. That's kinda good everywhere. It's good in AoE if you don't have enough damage to just one-shot everything with spark, even without even, you know, any shocks applied. Because in most mapping scenarios, you will not really use the rest of your abilities. You will literally just do this, and so, you know, increased magnitude of shock on enemies is very valuable. It's also very valuable against bosses, because, you know, the magnitude does not only increase the damage through higher shock, but also it increases the damage of lightning conduit, right? So definitely valuable. Or you can also use mobility, and that's what I use for breaches, for example, because it lets me move kinda okay-ish while keeping my spark pressed down. That's a bit better than just clicking if you open several breaches at the same time. So because breaches last longer the more enemies you kill in them, right? And so if you can just press it down the whole time and just keep on moving, that there's way higher chance it will spread to like some super far corners and just kill everything and prolong the duration of the breaches. And it will also lower the risk of you being overwhelmed if you open like 10 breaches at the same time. It will, you know, lower the chance of you being overwhelmed. So this is definitely valuable. I really love it and recommend it for breaches. Or you can also use, where is it? Here, yeah, considered casting. That's just flat DPS increase. We used to use this for Lightning Conduit, because even though it says that it's only for skills you cast yourself, before the patch, it worked and increased the damage of Lightning Conduit. It doesn't work anymore, so it's something that you can use for just flat damage increase of the spark. Now, I don't usually use overcharge because I use it in my Orb of Storms, which is the other super mandatory and build enabling kinda ability, because thanks to Orb of Storms we get lightning exposure. Now this build is not focusing on just a huge tooltip damage, right? It's focusing on doing damage through lowering enemy resistances by more than 100% through lightning exposure, through strip away, which increases the effect, and then through our curses, right? I'm also using overabundance here so that I can use 2 Orbs of Storms, which turns this into 60,000 DPS, right? And it also makes it easier to apply the shocks through them. And then the overcharges I already showed you to increase the magnitude combined with conduction. Now I intentionally took the perfect Jiller's orbs like away, right, only using 4 sockets to show you, because you know a lot of people might say, okay, these cost a few divine, right? You promised 5 divine to 10 divine build that will one-shot the whole game and make me want to quit the game because there's nothing to do anymore. And yeah, so that's why at first I didn't show any of the 5th ones. I more like showed you what you can do after you unlock the 5th socket for skills, which in the case of Orb of Storm is conduction, so that we have increased chance to shock. Now you might even swap these around to lower the effect of exposure, just to make sure that you apply the increased magnitude of shock. That's especially important if you are already using Cast on Shock and Lightning Conduit, because it will also increase the damage of Lightning Conduit, right? So you have to adjust this based on what's available to you, what build you are using right now. So yeah, this might also be like the best option, or you might get rid of overabundance and go like this, right? Overabundance might be your last one. But I think the best synergy is like this, because yeah, magnitude of shock, you know, more Orb of Storms, two of them. So yeah, twice the chance to shock, because you are shooting 2 lightning bolts to Orb of Storm, not just one. Conduction for increased chance to shock, which, you know, applies lightning exposure in the first place. You need to shock the enemy to apply it. So I think this is like the strongest synergy you can get for Orb of Storms. If you are struggling with mana regen, you can also use Font of Mana, which would increase. I don't think I have it here somewhere to show you. Let me actually look it up. Font of Mana, I have it here. So it will give you 40% increased mana regen, you know, if you're in the radius of Orb of Storm, in the 3 meter radius. So you can definitely use that as well, which will boost your mana regen against bosses. Like I said, in mapping you almost never use it. Like maybe if you see a lot of rares in one spot, if you see if you're fighting the boss in the maps, then you will definitely use it, right? But you are not really gonna be doing this when you're walking in the maps. You can, but I don't think you will. I don't think you will. So Font of Mana, really kind of like on the like a bossing support gem. Now, we have exposure, we already reduced the enemy resistances shit ton. We also have it in our ascendancy to increase exposure effect by another 20%. The base exposure is 20, now we're gonna make it 40, and through increased exposure effect we are gonna push it even further, and my exposure right now is 50 to 52%, so that's minus 52% on enemy resistances. And the other skill lowering enemy resistances is Conductivity. We are also super focusing on curses, as you will see in the passive tree, so we will boost the shit out of this, increase the curse effect, and this is more than 70% gone from enemy resistances. We are also using heightened curse to increase the effect. We are using focused curse so that it is instant. You can see there's like nothing appearing. If I take it away, you will see the actual curse animation, but with focused curse it's instant. It might be a bit harder to see whether the enemy is actually cursed, because like if you put this down, you know that, you know, whether they were standing in it or not. So you have to watch the debuff icon on the enemy. And then we are using Hex Bloom, because Hex Bloom in AoE, this is especially powerful if enemies are like boosted in like Simulacrum, for example, and they have like extra elemental resistances, yada yada yada, so they will maybe live longer than just, you know, being one shot. So you can use Hex Bloom, and whenever you kill one of the enemies, it will keep spreading in AoE. And it's not just Simulacrum. If you have, you know, way lower gear, you're just starting out in the game or something, then and the enemies will, you know, last longer than one spark, then Conductivity is super high value. It will keep on spreading across all the enemies and give you insane DPS increase by doing so. Then we are playing Mana Tempest. Mana Tempest, you could say, is like a small Archmage as well. Increases our lightning damage by a shit ton. We also increased the damage through premeditation, so that our empowered skill deal another 15% more damage. And we are kind of using it on every single ability. We are using the quality. What it does for Mana Tempest is that even when we leave it, we still retain the effect for 1 second. So you would, like, you know, start in it, start casting, and go away, and you would return. You would retain the effect of it for 1 more second. Now, you can see that it like drains mana like crazy. That's why you really want to pop it, go to the edge, use a few sparks, and go away. Now my mana regen got a lot lower by destroying my chest. Also 3x ring, right? Preferably you want mana regen on both rings. You want shit ton of it. I have 57 on this one. Because then when you get Ingenuity, you will skyrocket your mana regen through doing so, right? So double mana regen on ring, super high value. You do not need any other mana regen on your gear if you have 2 rings with mana regen and Ingenuity. It's absolutely massive. And yeah, you can get to 2000 mana per second. Plus you combine it with the flash and you are absolutely giga chill. So Mana Tempest. Then we have Voltaic Mark. Voltaic Mark, again, super synergy with well, everything in our build. It increases the effect of shock, so it increases the magnitude of shock, which gives us more damage through the shock being higher. It increases our damage through lightning conduit because it will do more damage, right? It also gives us higher chance to shock, which synergizes back with the Orb of Storm, which synergizes with the exposure, yada yada yada. Like, everything in this build is like superb in terms of synergy. Everything, every spell, every passive, every, you know, yeah, everything exists to boost everything else, right? So it's absolutely insane. It's definitely super strong early on. If you saw some of my previous video, you know that even just, you know, really early on when the game released, I was one-shotting every single cruel boss thanks to Voltaic Mark and Cast on Shock. I didn't even have Archmage because my gear was absolute garbage, even though I had it, as in, like, I had the support gem. I couldn't use it because I had like 1000 mana, right? But the Voltaic Mark with Cast on Shock, absolutely massive combo. And then the Cast on Shock, of course, itself with Lightning Conduit. Like, I am using Lightning Infusion here, but this is just because I had it and so I just like kind of put it there. But you don't really need to use anything on Voltaic Mark, or if, you know, the skill effect duration you are not using on your Spark, then you can use it on Voltaic Mark, or you can use it on Sigil of Power, so that you don't have to recast it again if you're in like a longer fight. So there's really a lot of adjustments you can do, and it's all up to you. On Archmage, as you can see, Lightning Mastery, because we want to reach level 21, okay? What I suggest is getting a level 14 Archmage, or any lower, get any low spirit gem that you have that will allow you to get Archmage. Increase the quality and then try corrupting it till you get +1 level from corruption, okay? because there are like different jumps for Archmage. If you go from 19 to 20, no damage increase. You need to go from 20 to 21. That will increase the damage from 8% to 9% or Archmage. And trying to corrupt it, because we really don't need anything else apart from the quality and one, you know, socket for Lightning Mastery. 2, if you had enough spirit for clarity, which will give you another 30% mana regen, but you need 170%, not 70%, just 170 spirit for it, and it's super hard to get, because those items, those chests, those amulets with a lot of spirit are super expensive, right? So I personally am not using clarity, and I see no issue. I never run out of mana, so but what's important is getting the 21. You don't have to get it further. If you know, don't try and waste your money on getting a level 20 spirit gem, because Archmage only gets another jump at level 26. So 22, 23, 24, 25, 0 damage increase. 0. Okay, so this is how you can save a lot of money. Divines even, because I think it's probably even a divine. I actually don't know. I actually don't know right now, because, well, I'm looting these myself, right? But 19 spirit gem is probably, or can be a lot on its own, and you don't want to destroy that one, right? You get the lower ones, you quality them, you keep corrupting till you hit +1 level, and then you can still increase the level of it through the new uncut gem, right? So yeah, make sure you don't make the mistake of just trying to corrupt your super expensive spirit uncut gem. And yeah, back to Cast on Choke. I kind of went back and forward. Back to Cast on Choke. Lightning Conduit deals insane amounts of damage, and obviously this is full lightning build, increases, you know, lightning damage everywhere where it can, so Lightning Conduit makes the most sense. Plus we are going for preferably 100% magnitude of shock, so this is absolutely insane. Energy retention, so that we have a chance to refund half of the energy. Impetus, these two combined give us, you know, just Lightning Conduit after Lightning Conduit over and over, especially against bosses, because, you know, you get more energy based on what type of enemy you are fighting. And then Elemental Focus, because we don't really need our Lightning Conduit to apply any elements. We apply that through our Orb of Storms and Spark, and we pretty much apply that instantaneously. So we don't need Lightning Conduit to apply it. And in the past we were using, where do I have it? Oh yeah, we were using the considered casting, but it has been fixed. So it no longer increases the damage. So what you can do is, for example, and again I have it here, this is like my weapon skill is my like storage room, you could say. So you can use Rising Tempest here. It's just free 12% damage after using Spark, so why not? And especially if you are using Flame Wall over Blink to get some extra damage, and that's actually recommended for bossing, unless it's like 4th boss in the Sanctum, which requires a lot of movement. Their Blink is absolutely awesome, but if you're just doing like T4 Zashed and bosses like that where you don't really need to move, you want to one-shot them before you have to move, then slot in Flame Wall. That will give you insane DPS increase on your Cast on Choke through Rising Tempest as well. And then our last skill, but super valuable, super important one, is Enfeeble. Look at the size of this thing. It's half of the screen of 40% damage reduction. Absolutely massive. This will help you even survive one-shots from the bosses. Like really, even if you get hit, and it can happen, this will so-handedly save you, because even against unique monsters, this is 24% damage reduction. You can see it lasts for an eternity. as well. And against normal bosses, this is 40% damage reduction. So like Simulacrum, you just put this in the middle, you use your Sigil of Power in the middle, and yeah, this is it. You just stand in the middle and you cast. You put down your Orb of Storms even, and yeah, you're just chilling. This is kind of interchangeable. The support gems, because what we are using for Enfeeble is the increased area of effect through expense, and we are using Cursed Ground, right? So we don't curse the enemies, we curse the ground, and then when they step on it, they become cursed. And yeah, this is interchangeable with Conductivity. Against bosses, for example, you would keep the Heightened Curse, but you would remove Focus Curse and Hex Bloom and swap these around, because that would, let's do it. Because that will just give you massive, resistance, reducement of resistance of enemies that step in it. This is especially powerful against bosses, so that you don't have to worry about casting it. You just put it down and you just press your spark and wait for them to spawn. It saves you some extra time where you would have to weave it in while using your sparks. So yeah, there's a lot you can do with the build based on what you really want, right? Now, what allows us to have, two curses? What makes the curses strong? What makes, well, everything in the build strong, and allows the synergies. We already look at some of it, but yeah, it's the passive tree. So let's have a look. At the passive tree. So, Ascendancy, already kind of touched upon it, Arcane Surge, increasing Arcane Surge for the synergy with our mana. Strike Twice, absolutely must have, for extra damage, as well as for Lightning Conduit, because the Lightning Conduit will proc so often against bosses that it will just immediately remove both of your, it will remove one and then the second shock that you have, and then you just keep on replying it right between the Lightning Conduits. So Strike Twice, absolutely must have, and Scouring Winds as well must have, because yeah, the damage comes a lot from the debuffs on enemies, way more than from, just the tooltip, right? Double shock, that's double multiplier for 100%, damage. Minus more than 100% resistances, right? That's hundreds of percent of extra damage. So yeah, absolutely insane. Now, the passive tree. Again, you can and you should do adjustments based on what you need, right? So I am pathing through the spell damage, which gives me extra damage. Are you struggling with mana? No problem, then path through mana regen. Then I'm taking extra mana regen. If eventually I have enough, even without these 2 points, maybe I can take it out and get more damage somewhere else. But for now, it's 35% mana regen with just 2 skill points. Absolutely massive. Cast speed, absolutely massive. I told you cast speed is the highest damage increase basically you can get together with, well, the ranks and mana, right? And again, you need more mana regen, sure, then ignore this 3% cast speed, get the mana regen. Then we are going here. We don't really we don't really care about the energy shield. That doesn't give us anything, but this is 1 skill point worth of 10 intelligence, which is 20%. I've been talking for too long, I can't even express myself properly. Which is 20 mana again, right? Then we are walking through more intelligence, because we don't need any of these nodes. They are for energy shields, but we do want to come here and get extra mana and increase maxed mana. Then we are going to the right. Massive value points here. Mana regen together with magnitude. That's all we could want. More mana to sustain our damage, more magnitude of shock, which gives us more damage. Mwah. Here, weapon set 2, as you can see, all the green lines, weapon set 2. So they only work when we are using the staff, okay?
You set this by clicking here and then distributing the points. What's super powerful about this is that every 1 point of base points, which are the yellow line, equals 2 points of weapon set, right? Because you can have 123 points active at the same times, but you can allocate more, right? Because yeah, these will only be active with weapon set 2. These will only be active with weapon set 1. It's the red ones here, right? Here, here, and here. These are only active when we are using our wand. So basically, TLDR, we have curses on our staff, DPS, abilities on our wand, right? So these are the first curses, or like passives that boost our curses. It increases the effect of our curses. It increases the area effect of our curses. The enemies that we curse are hindered. They have reduced movement speed. Again, super valuable in like Simulacrum, especially since we covered the whole screen in Simulacrum. So yeah, super valuable to go here. Then we are going down. Eventually you will get these, or can take these. These are super value again. A lot of damage increase, a lot of mana regen. The skill speed again, you know, we already talked about it with the projectile speed increases. The distance it travels, which gives us, you know, more damage because it's more bouncing off of the walls, etc. Right? And then we can go all the way here to get extra cast speed as well as dexterity and intelligence. It's, you know, 1 point worth of insane amounts of cast speed together with 10 worth of attributes. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, we can play around this a lot. Maybe we can get something better. Maybe we can eventually focus more on the triggered skills, which is my recommendation for boosting the lightning conduit, right? Maybe you will have enough mana regen, so you will take these out. You will take these out, reposition them. There's a lot you can do. But what is mandatory is going here and taking reduced mana cost and conservative casting for more reduced mana cost and more mana regen. This is what allows, you know, all the spam of our lightning conduit at Spark, together with everything else we are using. Then we are going here to take again, you know, curse points. But here we are using the base points because only base points can activate our jewels. We want as many jewels as possible because we want the lightning damage on them, we want the magnitude of shock, we want the skill effect duration in terms of sapphires, we want the energy for triggered spell, damage for triggered spell. Those are sapphires, but those are way more expensive than emeralds. Unless you're also trying to get movement speed, which is what I suggest, and I think it's even more value than sapphires, is to get movement speed and emeralds everywhere, but those are super expensive. But yeah, you can get like up to 7 jewels with 3% movement speed or something. So it's 20% extra movement speed, which makes the game so much more better, especially breaching. So yeah, there's a lot you can do. Again, depends on your budget, depends on what you loot, what you want. Here, super important, again, increased effect of our curses, but also faster activation. That's why conductivity is instant, because this is 70%. We are using the support gem for 30%, so we have 100% increased activation, you know, or like faster, not increased, faster activation of our curses. Then we are going here, absolutely need Wildstorm. If you are using Lightning Rod, which you should, but you don't have to, right? If you cannot afford it, then like is written in the build planner, use Piercing Shot. Piercing Shot, super valuable, insane amounts of damage, because especially if you play all of the skill speed, projectile speed, skill duration, one cast of Spark can hit the same enemy tens of times, you know, just over and over and over again. So yeah, Piercing Shot. Or if you don't want to play Piercing, you want to play the Chaining Spark build, then you can get Frazzled, which increases the magnitude of shock and mana regen. Again, super powerful because it increases the damage through shocks and lightning conduit. A lot of the options, right? But for lightning rod, you do need Wildstorm, right? Because lightning rod on its own is around 24-25% damage increase, but if you also have Wildstorm, then the DPS increase from lightning rod is the 30% we talked about. So you definitely need this. Then we are going up for all of the synergies we talked about here for our mana. Again, taking, you know, all of the curse nodes here, increased curse duration so that, yeah, it lasts for so long, we don't have to recast it again. Taking Chaos Inoculation, which gives us immunity, but it also takes away all of our life. So that's why I said that our mana equals life. Here, like I showed you, the red skills are weapons at 1. That's for when we do DPS. So this is again projectile speed, super powerful. Here is more skill effect duration, more intelligence to, you know, give you all of the synergies that we talked about. And because I'm not using piercing, I'm using branching bolts because it also allows spark to chain. And I'm sorry, this is also the only place really where you can use against the Darkness Timeless Diamond. Now, obviously you want this one with 4% extra intelligence, massive DPS increase, because you can get 2 or even 3 notable passes. So it's 12% increase intelligence, which increases the damage again through power. Through pure power. It gives us more mana, so it increases the damage through everything else. Plus all of these small nodes will give you 1% extra max mana. So that's also one of the reasons why I went for chaining instead of piercing, which you can still achieve if you use Megalomaniac Diamond with piercing shot allocated on it. It's basically the same thing as instilling anointing amulet with skills. You can also do this through diamond, and it can have up to 3 skills. So you can get piercing shot, frazzled. You could in theory get frazzled, you know, lightning rod and wildstorm or something crazy like that. It would probably be like 2000 divine, right, or something. But you could get that. You could get that all in one diamond. That's super powerful. So there's a lot you can do. Again, taking all of the extra curse effects, durations, that we can get on our curses to make them as powerful as they are, and Whispers of Doom, super important so that we can have 2 curses at the same time. And then here, again, build enabling passive Mind over Matter so that all the damage is taken from mana before life, basically turning our mana into life. Here, increasing the effect of Arcane Surge, which directly goes hand in hand with Force of Will, super powerful. And here I'm taking the extra elemental damage as well as +5 to all elemental resistances. And here again, magnitude of non-damaging elements, so of our shock. So super powerful. And then I'm level 93. There's a lot I can do. I can go 3 points and unlock another jewels. I can finish this tree and then hopefully get the best in slot against the Darkness Timeless Jewel. I can also go for dynamism. I will 100% go from dynamism. This is super powerful. It's just extra damage, not just to the triggered skill itself, but also to all of our other skills, right? Plus it gives us increased energy, meaning lightning conduit will proc more. So dynamism must have, and then based on how you path and get the extra points, all around here, or whether you take the jewels, you can path through energy, or you can path through triggered spell damage. Then again, you can increase the damage of our lightning conduit, pathing here, taking invocated efficiency, which will also gives us mana back when we invoke a spell. Or if you want to invoke more lightning conduits, then instead you can go through here, which will also give you energize. And we already have 35% chance to refund half of the energy spent, so that is 60% chance to refund half of it. So more and more lightning conduits over and over. But my personal recommendation is to just boost their damage, boost the damage of the lightning conduits, instead of shooting more of them, because they cost a lot of mana, and it might so happen that you just shoot, you know, several lightning conduits in a row, and it can even 10,000 mana, it can burn 10,000 mana in like 3 seconds. So my recommendation is just boosting the overall DPS and making those triggered spells like huge, over triggering them for smaller damage but more frequently, because that will cost you mana, right? So this is for the passive tree, and yeah, there's a lot you can improve on the build. And what I have on me right now is the Invictus, is the Dream Fragment, and is Ingenuity. But as you can see, this gave me just 20,000 DPS, you know. And if you're not lucky as myself, this is 90 to 100 Divines item. Is it worth for 20,000 DPS when you are already one-shotting everything? Well, you have to answer that to yourself. I actually think I will sell my Dream Fragment just so that I can use the currency to make more builds, maybe more classes, and just enjoy the game. Because right now I really don't feel like there's anything to do in the game. I already killed everything, and you could say like finish the game, right? There's nothing left to do because there is no endgame content, something like Mythic Plus or even the Pit from Diablo 4 that would help you, not help you, but like let you you know, fight against an impenetrable wall over and over and have infinite scaling, which is something I personally require from endgame. Like, if it doesn't happen for PoE, if we don't ever get an endgame where you can endlessly scale in difficulty and maybe have ladders for it, then I don't think I will be able to play the game for long, because that's what I consider fun in games. Ladders and infinite difficulty, so that I can that I have even a reason to get better gear. I have reason to improve my skill. I have reason to improve my build. Yeah, because like if you reach this point and if you lasted probably the hour of me explaining everything, and hopefully deep enough, there's probably even better and more in-depth explanation in the written guide, you know, then you will definitely reach more than 100,000 damage of spark, and yeah, you will one-shot everything. So like, what's left to do after you finish the game, right? So yeah, I really hope you liked the video. If you did, then please leave me a comment in the comment section down below. It can even just be algorithm to help the channel out. Leave me a like or follow. Leave me comments on what you think I should improve on. You know, I'm just a starting content creator. I do everything on my own, including the video editing, which is probably awful because I'm using, for most of the stuff, I'm using some online web apps, etc. And you know, it takes hours to even process it. But yeah, I try to put a lot of work in it, and hopefully help you out a little bit. So if it did help, then let me know. If there's something that would, you know, you think would improve the channel, then let me know as well. And I hope you have as much fun with the build as I do. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Ciao.